Hello and welcome to this playthrough of Factorio, where I am building a megabase on Earth. I am using a mod, Cities of Earth, focusing on the Old World Hemisphere. My goal is to reach 10,000 science per minute with a rail-based design. The resources are set to maximum size and density, and biters and pollution are turned off. The mod list is shown in the description, as well as a link to my Twitch channel, High Speed. Please come visit me there. Questions and comments are welcome. Thank you for watching. Okay. These are fixed, but I don't like them. Get out. So, if I do this way, but I don't like that extra gap. What's the most complicated things? Blue circuits, which are here. One, two, three, four. Try to put pipes there. And flying robot frames. What about up here? So I'm thinking of moving this. Yeah, that would cause problems right here. This barely reaches right now. So it's not a problem for you. It is a problem for you, but why is it a problem for you? I think I'll just leave it alone. So what I'm doing on all these others is I have this larger gap. And I mimic that gap here, but I don't mimic it here. And I should, for consistency. And I'm not saying I'm going to go back and redo all of these, but I am saying I'm going to be consistent with my blueprint going forward. Because I'm going to do a blueprint of this once I'm done with it. And it's going to become my standard when I have to build a new. Now I'll do the same thing here just because I want that consistency, damn it. God, this song. It's not the version I wanted. I don't remember this guy's voice being this nasty. For you, it's a moot point. Now, what I'm thinking of doing here go over to this one for our template, is we'll say that I am going to only look at the first chest of each wagon. Yeah. Now, that's going to result in 8. I need to shut all these off. I need you to go away because I need this to fail and I need to see that it works. I don't want these things to just hide the fact that they're carrying extra stuff. The fact that the trash tab is different and I have to make extra click, I'd rather it not be that way. I don't want to like give it something too much and then have it throw half of it away and then me not know that I've given it too much. I think that's a terrible design decision for me. So I'm not going to be using that. Okay, so if I just copy this, now I have to do maths and stuff. I gotta connect red wires. Red wire, red wire. Ah, that's not what I want to do. So now the first chest of each wagon is connected. So I've doubled the number of connected items here. So now I have 28,000 on here. Thanks, Smokin'. you know what? This probably still won't solve my problem. But if this were totally full, I'm going to bring up the calculator. This chest holds 4,000. 4,000 times 8 is 32,000. So, and a wagon full of these things has 4,000 in it. So this is the unloader. I've got to edit this thing again. Train request thresholds. So these are all wrong now. So I want the first train when it's at 50%. And the second train when it's at about 30%. I think. So for scratch purposes, stack size of 100 is equal to, oh, and this thing is limited on its size. I can't do this stuff here. Well, I'll try. Well, let's bring this up. I'll just edit here. Stack size 100 is equal to wagon has 4,000 in it. Chest has 4,000 in it. Eight wagons is equal to 32,000. One chest per wagon. Well, that makes some interesting simple math. So now we're saying that we want to, for the unload, call a train at 50%, which is equal to 16,000, right? Which is 32,000 and 50%. Now, if I were to tell this thing to call a train when it was at 16,000, it's currently at 28,000, and it would not call a train. And it would be broken, and I don't know how to fix that. I have no idea how, without a bunch of extra combinators or balancers, I could get this to summon a train because one of these is empty. I could read that belt. I could read this belt right here. But now I'm back into combinator hell. So because I'm not using a balancer, yeah, I'd say it looks like Spotify's search functions are offline for me. Without putting a combinator on each one of these, I don't know what to do here. Because they're all independent. And for me to put a combinator on each one of these is going to put me right back into the problem I had before. Because I still have to have those. I mean, it's a different problem, but it's the same problem. Yo, Maki. So I found a problem with my unloader design, my simple unloader design, and I don't know how to fix it without adding back a combinator for each wagon. I can't help but think that there's a clever way to do this, but I don't see it. You can see the problem here. One of my wagons got empty. Probably because it was never properly full. And I don't use a balancer, so if one of these wagons goes empty, then I also don't use the balancer on loading. And so if one of these wagons doesn't fill up at its source, or if the other ones all fill up and this one drains through some sort of configuration issue or whatnot. Right. And that causes a lockup. That means this train it'll never call a train because it doesn't see this as empty. And if a train were to come here, eventually, it would never leave because this set of chests would never fill. The only way I could think to do it is to put a combinator on each wagon, which I used to have. And use the flag system of sorts. And then have combinators down here that are listening for that. Now, what I used to have was a design that had 32 combinators per, because I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each one of these had 4 combinators, so I had like 30 combinators. So I don't have any choice but to put a combinator for each one of these. I'll be right back. Yo, King, BRB. Okay. Sorry. Might as well change this message. So yes, Mucky, I used to have that. Let me see if I have an older blueprint I can show you. I don't think any of these have the whole station header. Yeah, this one does. So here's a green circuit load. I gotta wait for it to finish. I'll just stuff it here because it'll fit, maybe. You're probably not looking anymore, but anyways. It used to have this, well, that's too old. Really old, but okay. Ignore some of the other stuff that's here, but yeah, that's not even the right one. Let me see if I can find one that's old enough. Yeah, this is good. Apologies, kind of hard to see. Tell you what, let me get to a dark place on the map. I gotta get my brain to calm down. I just had some bothersome news and... So, this is what I used to have. This is unloading green circuits, but it doesn't matter. Stack size and type were stored here. Yes, Pony, that's what it is. And now I need to be able to call a second train, so everything I do is doubled. So this part of it, which I have eliminated, was controlling these to unload evenly. I've been able to replace them by doing this. So I don't need that combinator anymore. So I'm not wiring all these together. Also, I'm no longer doing these extra lamps, so that's cutting. Now, when I had all this across 1,000 stations, my circuit networks, right now it's at 0.9. My circuit networks was 5. Right? That balancer, well, the unloader, balancer, I don't know. You mean this cheesy balancer I've just added here? But let's not focus on that. Let's focus on these. What I have here is D and E and E and D. Yeah, it works for a very specific situation, a very specific reason. It works for what I'm trying to do. But the filter inserters were being set from this constant combinator. But as they said in the FFF, that's not good to do. You should hard code those because otherwise every tick, every inserter you've got is looking to see what should they be filtering. It's designed for dynamic filtering, not static filtering. So I have replaced all of my filter inserters that used to be wired to now no longer be wired. So now these are all static. Good. These lamps used to all light up when a train was coming or needed to be brought in. Now they're there, but they're not wired to the network anymore, which still has some hit, but not much. The concept of what these things did is that they would raise a flag. They were wired to all 4 chests, and so they were reading the 4 chests. So when their numbers, and these things set their numbers, the number 1 was the value for a single train, and the number 2 was the value for a second train. So when it would read these 4 chests, and it would say, I'm at 50%, raise flag D. I'm at 50%, raise flag D. So what D was counting if it hit, in this case, if D was greater than 0, that meant somebody here wanted a train. And so it would set the train request to 1. And if E became greater than 0, if any of these things said, hey, I'm at less than 80% or less than 20%, I need a second train. So what I had was a flag-based system that would say any wagon could summon a train by raising its flag. Now the opposite was true on the loaders. Now the loaders had F and G. They used the flag system as well. And so the loaders would say, am I full enough to load a train? If I can load a train, then set my flag to F. And then this F and G combinators right here would say, if all of my wagons have said that they have enough for a train, if all of my loader chests have said they have enough for a train, I will summon a train. And then the G value said, if all of my chests say they have enough for 2 trains, then I will summon 2 trains. So it worked exactly as I wanted it to work, and combined with a train that was set to only sit in the unloader for 60 seconds, all my problems were solved, except for the fact that the game can't handle that many cycle updates. Now, what I'm going to do is find out a hybrid that will solve this problem without costing me so many CPU cycles on combinators. So I am going to have to add, I've just got to add a combinator for each one of these. And I've got to find a place to put it that is appealing to me. And what it's going to have to do is be wired to this chest. So I'm using Storm's mod that removes all data wires. If I wire this directly here, then I'm asking you to tell me, hi kitty cat, how much do you have in you? And then I can say, to pass that value along as a thing, and maybe it's not a decider combinator, maybe it's an arithmetic combinator. Because what I'm mulling over here is, instead of saying everything greater than 12K, is some way to say, are all my flags satisfied? Now, what I have for this unloader, and I'm just throwing out some concepts of what I do. I have a supply unloader here for, and I originally created this for walls and defenses. But the concept was shown to me, and if you look, you can't see it. Let me turn this off. The concept is, I think either King or Lycum gave me this. I used to have a combinator on the outside of every one of these chests that says, are you satisfied? If you are, then raise a flag. And then if any flag was, if you're not satisfied, then if any flag was not satisfied, any chest was not full to the extent that I want it, it would raise a flag, and that would summon the train. And the idea became, and as you can see over there, those numbers are negative. So what would happen is, I want -10 purple inserters. Okay? And then this decider combinator says that if anybody is less than 0, then call a train. And so we see the total count there is 14, which means there's a total of 24 purple inserters across these chests. This one has 12, and this one has 12. So the game adds all those up, puts them onto the network, and I can simply check with one combinator two combinators, I can say, are you satisfied? Because I'm using negative numbers. Hi, Faceless. I'm trying to redesign this fucking unloading system. So, if I can't use plastic, but if I use an arithmetic combinator, now, I don't know what I'm going to do here. I'm thinking out loud, but what's on here right now is 4,000, and what's on here right now is 0. Now I'm going to break this so that I can get some values in here. So what's on here right now is... I put that in the wrong place. So what's on here right now is 188. Well, the design structure is such that I'm going to treat each wagon as an independent entity. So I don't have a balancer, and I'm not going to put a balancer in because it makes it impossible to do things like this. Because it's a nice, compact design. So maybe I'm doing it wrong and it'll never work, but if it fails because it's this design that doesn't work. And I don't know what you mean by... Well, I don't need compact, but I mean, I've got a considerable amount invested here. And what else am I going to do? Put a balancer for every one of these? If I unload all 8 wagons, put them into a balancer, and then split them out again. Well, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I know. I know I need a lot of circuits, and I know it's a challenge. I had a lot more circuits. I had 30 circuits per wagon, or per... I had 1, 2, 3 per wagon, which times 3 times 8, 24, plus 5 at the head. So I had like 30 circuits per train, or per station, and I've got 1,000 stations. And my updates for circuits was 5. Right now it's at 1. So what I want to do is a hybrid of this flag system. And what it will tell me... So I could do a 1 through 8 here. I could do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Or I could do an A through whatever. I don't want to have to hard code a value here for each of these. This is G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not going to work. Yeah, then I've got to... Here's the thing, King. Okay, I could do that. And I'm thinking about the operations and the size and the scaling of what I've got to do there. Is that if I have to set a combinator on each of these wagons, and I have to do it for each of these stations, then when I paste this down, it's another manual step I've got to go through, which is chances for mistakes and tedious and less generic. So I don't want to use both of these. I'm trying to figure out which one of these I want to use, but I also have to deal with stack size, right? Because I've got 4 stack sizes that I'm dealing with. I've got stack size 100, 250, and 10. And the fullness, air quotes, of a wagon is determined by its stack size because I don't have percentage. So one thing I'm totally set on is that I'm going to continue to treat each wagon as an independent entity. So I'm not going to use mass balancers and mass distribution. I already have to use that on fluids because they don't fucking work on fluids. But maybe I'll come up with something that does. So I don't know that I'm going to use a decider or an arithmetic. I don't think an arithmetic is going to solve what I want. And maybe I can get away with this because I've turned off so many other combinators, right? Because like I said, these are now statically set, and I can't tell you how many times I fucked setting those up. These are no longer being controlled by a combinator, so I'm not costing anything there. So maybe I can afford to have a combinator on each wagon. Thank you. I appreciate the reminder. Yeah, I had some time off today. I'll go. I just had a snack and took a break to let me think about this a little bit. Sunlight? I don't know what that is. Rawr. So across each of these, I mean, I was thinking of doing something like G, but then G doesn't. Yeah, okay, G has a value. Excellent. So instead of G, I would go F here, and then this would be H, right? Yep. Sunlight's how you make solar energy. So now if I take this and I put its output on the network, then on here I'm going to have F and G. Hey, kitty cat. So this has the possibility of the behavior I want. Hi. I'll be right back. My cat needed her mice reset. So if I do this, and we'll just do A through D for now. So what I should have is A, B, C, and D on this pole when I finish actually connecting them. So I now have A, B, C, and D at various levels. And let's assume that this becomes empty. So now D is gone, and that's going to be tough. Okay, so now I have a decider combinator that says that if anything on that line is empty, if anything here is less than or equal to 0, then output that I need a train. And you're not, because D doesn't exist, and so you don't exist. So that doesn't work. I mean, in theory, that works. If I change this to less than or equal to 1, and then I put one thing in here,